Alright, so today's activity, I've got two carburetors for the cab over engine. They're two CFM, two separate CFMs. This one is for the 235 here, and it's for the older engines. And then it's an 871S, Carter BB-1 871S. This is a Carter BB-1 2075S. Now, this one has a larger throat area up in here, so it can flow more. It's for the bigger 261 engine. The other one has a smaller throat area. Normally I would just use this bigger carburetor, but there's two problems with it for my application. I'm putting this carburetor in a 1948 cab over, and this is the version. You notice the inlets are in separate areas. We're both on the throttle side where the throttle rod connects to. This one, the earlier trucks have the air cleaner and all the pertinent items, all the hoses and stuff going towards the rear of the truck. In 1954, they went towards the front of the truck, or maybe 53, but either way. So my truck needs to have if I want to keep it original, needs to have this towards the rear. So we need to have this type of arrangement. But I want the bigger CFM because I got the 261 and I want to starve it out, lean it out. So what I'm going to do is, well, the other problem with this carburetor is it has a big crack here. That's the crack on the bowl. I'm not sure if water got into it, if it got physically hit, whatever it is. So one of the things after doing a whole bunch of research is that the pot metal part, or I don't know if it's aluminum, pot metal, whatever it is, are identical on both of these. It's only the cast iron piece on the top that's different between the two. So what I need to do, or what I'm going to attempt to do, is to modify this this cast iron throttle body, I guess, base, carburetor base, to match this one. So in order to do that, I'll have to take that throttle over. Now, one of the things, now that I've got them both in the same direction, is that this one has a post here, because I'll try to put this throttle piece onto this carburetor. But this one has this throttle stop right here, which sets the position of it, like the idle and the stop. Idle and the stop over here. So what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to drill and thread a hole in the same position. You see this one's got the two things here. So what I'll take a bolt and thread it in and then just cut off the bolt. So that's my project, to see if I can modify that, then use this lower section that's not cracked and just bolt it to this newer modified section, so that I'll have the larger carburetor with the correct entryway. Now, one of the other differences is the jets are different and the metering is different, but all the brass that's under this plug here, I can just unscrew them and swap them between the two. So this will be my project. It's a little bit cockamamie to drill into this, but I'm going to try it and see if I can put a thread on it and bolt it, and then make this basically the correct carburetor, the big carburetor that never existed, work for my truck. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is removing the throttle plate and then withdrawing the shaft. So they're basically undoing the two screws on the throttle plate, then pivot it up, and then you can withdraw that throttle plate. It actually goes through the rod, and then withdraw that out the side. The throttle linkage mechanism. I'll have to use the throttle linkage mechanism from the other carburetor to swap that onto this. This is the larger 261 engine carburetor, or the 2075S. Oh yes, I'll have to disconnect the accelerator pump. That's the accelerator pump lever. That's connected to that throttle as well, so I'll have to disconnect that. Hey, I got the accelerator pump is disconnected, and now I've got to get the flapper out. I took the screws out, and it's just a matter of working it out. Oops, sorry for the jiggliness. I don't have a very good key grip. See, she just comes out like that. Oops, I guess I'm not getting you a video here, but one-handed. Basically, I just have to work this plate up and out. A little sticky, but I'll get her out. Yeah, you can see the difference in size. This is the 235 updraft carburetor, and that's the 261. You can see that that's a larger CFM. So we'll be using the large one on the rebuild. All right, so yeah, this is what I have to duplicate here. We have, I'm gonna on the other, I've got this bolt's about the same diameter as this. So on the other carburetor, I'll have to drill and tap for this bolt, and then I'll cut the bolt to match. So it's gonna go something, but not exactly like that. And then of course we'll have to cut a whole bunch of thread off. We'll have to cut the end of the bolt off, but I'm just gonna try to duplicate that on this, and then I can put that other throttle rod right in there, and then that'll switch that. And then of course I'll have to switch the base too, but that's easy. Getting this right is going to be the hard part. Alright, so I've measured the center point to center point, and then over here, center point to center point, and where is it there? Should be a little prick punch in there. I can see it with my naked eye. I think the light makes it harder, but yeah. Anyways, so with a prick punch, made a little spot to start my drilling. Okay, so I've drilled it and tapped it, and on the original carburetor it's got that nub at the bottom down here, and then you've got the shank up here. So in order to lock this in here, I've kind of decided that a nut that also locks that in there in good shape, and I could just cut the head off this bolt if needed, you know, with a zip wheel. And I'll once I know that I'm right, I'll get some like Loctite and Loctite that in there pretty good, and we'll try it out. But it should be, in theory, it. All right, so I got it on there. I got it red Loctited. I've got a little bit of well, I can't quite, there we go. Got a little bit of thread stick out in the bore down below. I don't know if that'll affect us or not. What I'll do is I'll do an interim assembly, and if that hits into the blade at all, I can get a little burr wheel and just burr that off, smooth that out. I think it's probably going to work as is, but if it doesn't, then we can clean that up. But otherwise, there, I've got my throttle stop in there. Okay, and as assembled, there it is. Just like the other one, we've got our idle stop. That's for setting the idle, and that's the full throttle. So I have to actually, one of the harder jobs I think is going to be, I've got to widen out that that rod, because this is the throttle rod for the narrower carburetor. So the flap wheel or the throttle plate hits, so I can either file those out or take a zip wheel or something and just widen that out just a hair. We'll try that next. Here you can see the throttle plate doesn't quite fit into the groove on the smaller shaft, so I'll have to hog that out a little bit. We'll have to figure out how I'm going to do that. I may try with a cutoff wheel, or if it's too thick, then that's a pretty thick throttle plate. Then I can file it. I have some jeweler's files. It'll take forever that way. We'll see how patient I am. All right, so I have it. I had to cut off the little stop on that side where the old one was. I have the big flapper in here. So right now we have a 2075S throttle body that's set up for a rear entry. So yeah, that went surprisingly well, actually. I'm kind of surprised. I expected something to go badly wrong, and maybe something still will, knock wood, right? But anyways, yeah, converted it.